Alright kids, so here's what we got. We ended up using my manual, which helped me to an extent. We ended up using one of my riding gloves. We ended up using a big screwdriver, which was used to pry the knob up. We ended up removing this wire harness from the new wiring harness from my old wiring harness. Basically, I swapped these wiring harnesses out, but kept, this is actually the piece that was on my car, but I got a new piece, put that new piece on, and then removed this and put the old one on, swapped it out. Here we go. That's the original piece, and this is the new piece, wiring piece. Anyway, moving on. So here's the broken plastic frames into many pieces. It looks all crazy because that's what I was telling you. I was gluing it from like a long time, so it just wasn't working anymore. And here is the old boot. As you can see, it actually already had started to crack, but no one could ever see that because it faced the front. Otherwise, it's in good condition, but I just felt like replacing it. While I was in there, might as well do it. So here we go. I used this blanket, which I used to cover this piece of wood, which I used to stand up like this. And then I used this, trying to give a better view of what I did here. Since I couldn't hold this and iPad it or next book and do it the same. So then I used this as the prying point. So I stuck this into where the knob would be. I'm trying to make a makeshift car here for you. So I stuck this, wait, hold on, don't forget my glove here. I used my glove. The glove fits, right? I always like throwing in some type of weird little term. Okay, so I ended up using the glove, shoving that in there between the leather and the knob, and I pried and I pried. Yes, you could say I cried and I cried because I did a lot of that. Around, all while holding the button that's on the knob. Make sure you hold the button while you're prying, because if you don't, I think you're going to end up breaking something. But so make sure you hold the button. Pry, and it finally just popped off by the grace of God. So here is that little set I was telling you about that I used to replace the glass screen on my next book. And I ended up using, funny enough, I ended up using this little Phillips to remove these little screws, and I used the screwdriver for another part of the video. I hope that helps you. So I'm taking out my little handy BMW 3 Series Haynes repair manual, which I have referred to in other videos. And I have looked through here to try to figure out how to remove this knob, because I'm coming across a lot of videos on YouTube that show how to remove it, and they're different for, I noticed, I could be wrong, but I noticed that there was a difference between the automatic transmission and the automatic transmission to remove the knobs. So from what I'm reading here, and this isn't even for the removal, it's actually gear selector, lever removal, and installation. It's like, yeah, duh, that's what you're removing. Hold on, just relax. Because this is saying it to raise the vehicle and securely support it on jacks, blah, blah, blah. So that's not exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to actually skip ahead in steps to where it talks about removing the knob. So it says, working in the passenger cabin, pull the knob from the selector lever with a strong tug. Note, do not twist the knob or damage will result to the turning lock in the lever. So make that a key. Don't twist it. You're going to break it. So 5, it says carefully pry up the lever trim, complete with lever Hunter, calm down. It's my dog making a bunch of noise. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay, so I don't know what I read last, but anyways, so carefully pry up the lever trim, complete with lever boot. We'll find that out here in a minute. From the center console, disconnect the wiring connectors from the underside of the trim, noting their installed locations before disconnecting them. I'll show you that because I know that actually without having to read that. But you don't need to remove that as far as I know to take the knob off, because you can actually remove that spot. I wish there was a picture here. Oh, kind of, there is. Okay, so this is actually the way the leather looks, the boot leather looks when it's pried up. So obviously you would not see that if it's put down. Here's your locks and your hazard light button. So you can actually remove this part by just pulling it up. So I know you don't need to detach this part from the car in order to remove the knob and the boot. I will show you here in a minute what I'm talking about, so give me a second. Okay, so here's the car. This is the part that we need to be replacing. As we can see, it's just the leather here. And this is where my dog fell, because he landed right here and it broke through the pieces of that, or that little frame. And here are the many pieces that are left of that once frame that holds the boot on there. So I tried for a long time, for probably like a year, maybe a year and a half. I glued the darn thing together with all sorts of different types of glues, and it worked for a while, and I just got tired of dealing with it. So I'm going to be using this little kit. I actually got this little kit, this little screwdriver kit, plastic pieces, dill, tools. I got this little kit when I had to replace the screen on my little Next book. Okay, so if you just wanted to remove this part, well, if your frame was fine, you would be removing that separate from this. But I don't have that frame since it's broken into many pieces. And you can actually just pry this up. Trying to balance. I wish I had help with this stuff, because, hold on. I'm always trying to hold this stuff with one hand and work on it with another. I know it's by myself here. Okay. So this pops up, which brings you to these connections. To get closer, you're going to have to remove this connection here and that connection there. And you're going to have to remove this one here. And I used, out of my little tool bag here, this tiny little screwdriver. Hold on, I'm looking for it. Finding every Phillips and everything else beside it. Okay. So I used this little screwdriver. Tiny. I know it's tiny. And you're going to have to use this to get it into here. Oh, hold on, sorry. Where I think this screen is adjusting itself. Okay, so you're going to pry this in there because there's this little tab here, and that has to be popped out. You're going to pry this in there, wiggle it a little bit, and it should be able to come out. Hold on. I'm going to lean this up. I don't know if you're going to see what you need to see, but I'm going to lean this against myself. Oh goodness. we're gonna put this inside here. It'll put that in there. You'll be able to disconnect it there. There we go. One. Then we're gonna come over here. And we are gonna pull this out, and then we're gonna pull this out. Given you're seeing me just pop it out, but I actually already used this little screwdriver to wiggle in there and wiggle in there, and then I was able to pop those two little, I don't know, tabs in there off. So I'm actually able to pull it out without having to remove this. Because again, you got to remember that this is going to have a different frame from this. And as I said, here are the pieces to that once frame. So we're going to go from there. Okay, so next step is make sure you turn on your car so that way you can put it in the neutral position, which you can't see because I already removed the selector indicator here. So hold on. Make sure you put your brakes on, or that you pull your brake up, your emergency brake, and we'll see from here. Oh my gosh, so I got it. I don't even know. It was with God's graces, but let me show you. Even my iPad's acting all crazy here. Little Nextbook, not iPad. Let me show you what I did. I don't even know how it came off, but honestly, it was with God's graces. So let me show you what I did. Hold on. Okay, so here we are. I got a blanket. This actually happened to be a baby blanket. And I put a board in it. Covered it. Put it in this position to where it's standing. I don't know, what are these measurements? 2x6s? I don't freaking know. Anyway, it was the board I found. Great, now it's not letting me stand up. Now I need to show you. I'm gonna cry. This has been one of the worst things I've had to take off of this car. So I don't have it completely removed, but... So, I was using actually one of my riding gloves. And I put a screwdriver inside of it. So that way it gave me some kind of padding. Because I attempted it once without this on, and it kind of like scraped up when I was trying to pry, and you can't see it, but thankfully. Anyway, so I put the screwdriver inside there, and I put it in here, and I kept forcing this thing up side after side after side after side. Make sure you're holding the button. This button up front. I don't know if it's in view of this. This button, wherever it is. Anyway, the button you hold to in order to remove this back. But I did. I pried and pried and pried and pried and finally it popped up. So let's hope it's not broken. As it's coming out, it's the first time I've ever seen it. I'm checking it to make sure nothing's broken on it. I don't know, but I am going to put that down for now. And I'll slide this stuff back. Let's see. Oh, look, that does remove really easily. Apparently this never gets removed. I was curious about this, but it doesn't apparently. So there is the replacement boot. There we go. On there. And then we will put this back on. I think my screen is like magnifying on its own. So let me get this snap back on and all these wires reattached, and I will record again. Hold on a minute. It's totally I had to do some modifying because the piece I got when I ordered it off the internet was actually for an 2-year older BMW than what I have, and everything looked the same, like all these connections, I mean, they matched identical. You're probably used to, if you've already taken this thing apart, you're probably looking at it like this. Okay, so all these pieces were, this wiring harness was like identical, but for some reason, I don't know how long this old piece has been off of that car that they pulled it from, but for some reason it just would not connect in here. So I ended up having to just unscrew this entire thing from the back of this, which is usually housed and sat in here. You're gonna have to pull it out of under this clip here. There's a little clip here in the back. You're gonna have to pop up to pull out of there. And then you're gonna have to unscrew the 3 screws here, which once you do that, you'll take the cap off, you'll see this little motherboard, and then it'll be screwed to this little plastic part here. So I unscrewed that, unscrewed it from here, switched that on from my old one, which was the original one, to my car. So this is actually the piece that was on this piece, which is the piece that came in through the mail, which is from the older car, but I connected all back up. I used the original wires from obviously inside the car, just swapped out this wiring harness and connected everything back up, and everything lit back up, everything's fine. So we're gonna go ahead and snap this back down. Okay, and now let's try to get this. Okay, that's back in there. And I was noticing earlier, what did I do with that knob? I was noticing earlier this was like stiff and it wasn't moving, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? Did I do something? And so it was like stiff, it wouldn't move. But I noticed like if I played with this for a little while, it finally like got it unstuck. So now when I press this button, you see the movement. So that made me feel a little happier, because once I did take it out, I was like, great, what else? So this is going to be on camera, me putting this back on. As you can see, the car is still in neutral. That is what I removed it on after all the different examples I saw on the internet of which way to put it, or which way to remove it, which was, like I was saying earlier, neutral or drive. I saw several videos. But I'm going to hold the button to put it back in, since that's the way I took it off. And let's see if it... Well... Okay, well there. Snap back on. You can see around me, the light is totally different because it took me so long to do that. I'm exhausted. My arm hurts. How is that even possible that my arm hurts from doing this? I even like lift weights. Like, this makes no sense. That was like having a child or something like that. I don't know. I've never given birth, but that is got to be what it's like. Like, it was hell. It was just not fun. All these videos I saw on YouTube, everyone's just like, oh, you just pry it. Oh, watch out, it might hit your face. So be careful when you pry it off. It's gonna pop up and hit your face. If things were just that simple. I'm thankful I did not get hit in my face with the freaking knob to this thing. I am like talking probably like super fast, and like I am just exhausted. Like I honestly feel like tears are like welling up inside my head that are gonna make it into my eyes and then are gonna come out. That was stressful. But I wanted to make sure that you saw how stressed I was for the most I could show you, considering I'm working by myself. But I want you to know that it was not a freaking easy thing to do. So if you get stressed out, know you're not alone. And that the videos you saw on YouTube where they made it look easy, they pulled those freaking knobs off before they showed you the footage on the screen. That did not take place beforehand. So it wasn't just, oh, put it in, pry, pull the button and pop up and it's gonna come up. Doesn't freaking happen that way. If it happens that way for you, you are so lucky. You need to thank your lucky stars and be on your knees and thanking God, because it was not that easy for me. Anyway, I had trouble. If you have trouble, don't feel alone, okay? I am by no means a mechanic, so please don't take my advice as if I'm a professional giving you advice as a mechanic, because I'm not. I am just somebody who's doing my best to fix this stuff by myself. But I hope that helps you, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Please subscribe to my videos. I try to put up a video whenever I can. It takes me sometimes days to get a video together and actually put it together and put it online. So even if you give a thumbs up, that would be so great. I would feel appreciated for all my hard work and loss of words. Anyway, subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up and leave any comments, whether it was helpful for you or if it wasn't. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Have a good night.